we in ministry. Oh,
Sorry.
That's Sean.
No, go ahead.
I felt like we need to record this. So Khalil, ask the question
Okay, I'll
again.
ask the question again.
Okay.
Because it was unscripted.
This is all very
just talking about
unscripted.
mentorship and discipleship and what that looks like. And, I know there's sometimes some people walk with each other for a really long time and then there's seasons and stuff. So I was just thinking, what do you think about, as you're walking with people, is there a season or a time to pass them on to someone else, that someone else continues to carry that mantle? Or do you continue to walk for the rest of life together? What do you think?
Initially, I mentioned that there are seasons, but as I'm thinking about it, it's really, if discipleship truly takes place through relationship, there are times that relationships come and relationships go. We move away or people move away, and so you lose touch. And I think it's a part of a natural process. But I think somebody that really, and I don't know how to say this correctly, but really has discipled somebody else. Like, I don't know if that connection ever stops, because there's so much meaning, there's so much personal connection, there's so much life lived, there's so much tears cried and prayers prayed and correction and trust and all those kinds of things that we talk about in the discipleship process. I think even if a year goes by because you're living in two totally different parts of the country, when that connection takes place again, when it's a phone call or a video chat or whatever, then it starts, where it stopped. So I don't know if you ever lose like the connection. And as far as like handing somebody over to somebody else, I think that that's probably where I came up with the seasons of just being able to have influence in other people's lives. And so like with my kids, there was a time where I was the greatest influence in their lives. My wife and I, Heather, were, and now they're both married and we're not the biggest influencer in their lives anymore. I'd like to think that we still have influence, but we're not the biggest ones. And then the people that they're tied into at their churches and their leadership that they're leading. And so in a sense, we've trusted the Lord, but we've also discipled them to make smart decisions as to who they would choose to follow in their next season of wherever they might be. And so in a sense, you pass them on to the Lord. And then there are other people that obviously have influence, sometimes more influence than we do, over those people's lives that we've discipled. And so this kind of verbal processing, those are some of the thoughts that I would come up with. What do you guys think?
I think with apprenticeship and apprenticing and discipleship, the mentoring piece, all of that, there's something unique about it within the relationship context, because you've not just, it almost mirrors I would say maybe a marriage, but almost like a father-son, father-daughter, mother-son, mother-daughter relationship in one sense. So like one of my mentors, 2003 was when we started walking together, and we still do. And there's this and it goes even within that relationship, there's lots of seasons, even though we really haven't broken what we still meet every month. This now it's phone calls because he's in Missouri. But yeah, it's a really very unique and special relationship, I think. And I don't know, I'm kind of processing that a little bit.
I think that's good though too, because like I was thinking about mentors that have been maybe a primary voice or a very significant voice, and obviously we still have connection and they still care and they're still invested, but maybe I don't need to go to them as much or for the same things, but they still are someone I trust, and they have a perspective that no one else has. And so occasionally I reach out a little more occasionally, but I do reach out when, suddenly when I'm in need. And I think of students who have graduated and gone off and are doing their life, but then you still get the text message every now and then, and So we are still a voice, and those relationships go on, but it just looks different.
So this has happened to me probably 3 different times over the last year and a half, 2 years, where I've gotten students who have texted me pictures of notes that I wrote to them when they were 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th, whatever, high schoolers and middle schoolers. And they just
love that
little thing, whatever. And so there's that. Yeah. And that, even that's special, but the mentor mentee apprenticeship relationship is even deeper, I would even say, in one sense, than that. And that was very significant for me. I think it's funny. Oh man, I'm about to preach. I got a meeting here, but I think it's interesting because we want that, but we don't want the longevity. We don't put in the sacrifice that it takes to walk with people. It's not always rosy and frolicking
easy.
In the woods. There's tough things. There's tough conversations. There's wrestling with scripture together. There's sacrifice. I'm going to read this book. So Steve Pulis wanted me to do this assignment. And I could, it was 2013, 2014. He told me, he said, you need to have at least a week, preferably he wanted me to take a month off, and you need to read this book. Now I could have said, no, I don't want to do that. But I did. I sacrificed. I did what my mentor asked me to do and things like that. And it was very beneficial. So we want a lot of the benefits of walking together with people. We want the pictures of the kids that were 13 years old in my youth group to send those things, but we don't want the process and the sacrifice that it takes.
Right.
Yeah.
So as you're saying that, both of you guys, I can't tell you the number of times that I talked about that my pastor mentoring me. He went to be with the Lord several years ago, but so many times I wish I could pick up the phone still and, call him, run something by him, say, hey, this is what's going on. What do you think? So, those are very special connections. You're right.
Oh man. And they're beautiful too, man.
Yeah.
That's
and
cool.
that's how we're wired.
Oh yeah.
That's how we're wired.
I was going to say,
it's how God created us.
Yeah. In an age of disconnection, and, I've been surprised in this last year, how many students I've had. Cause I didn't have this like pre-COVID. So that's just a timeline, but I've been coming up to me and being like, I want a mentor, but I just don't know who to go to. And to me, I was like, man, that's how it's bad, when students actually start asking for it. And so
full-blown adults asking for it.
Right. We're longing for these relationships, but we also don't even know where to start or how to go about them. And I'm just making a projection here, and I'm saying part of that is because we've forgotten how to connect with people and connect with each other and be vulnerable and be real. And so then we long for these relationships, but we don't know how to enter into them or how to get started, because like you said, it's tough and it's hard and it costs, and we don't want to pay for that.
Yeah.
I don't know.
The pay.
We're all verbally
so true
thoughts here, but
even diving in and even saying the risk. I was like, I just never thought about it, where sometimes I talk to like adults, even my age or older, that they don't even take the risk to ask somebody. Like I didn't think it wasn't even a thought really. I said, yeah, I like you. I want you to, can I walk with you? Can we read the Bible together? But we just don't even know, or even don't like to take that step and say, hey, you have gray hair. You have some fun stories, I'm sure. Can I come over and bring you some coffee, or maybe we can have coffee together, or we can whatever, and I think it needs to look differently, obviously, for a 14-year-old or to the 40.
I get that too, because there's people I'm walking this where I see people in our church and I go, man, I want to be like them. I want their character when I'm their age, and I want to be like them, but then I'm hesitant to initiate, to say, hey, can we sit down? Can I just ask questions? Can I get to know your story? Like, that's me personally. And we're preaching it, but then I'm walking it personally, where there's people I want to learn from, but I'm I'm struggling with the boldness to initiate it. And so,
right.
yeah, there's definitely something there.
Praying for boldness.
And I just, yeah.
Go ahead. What were you going to say?
Well, I mean, this conversation could go on for a long time, but it's, in thinking about that relationship, that we were pursuing somebody, maybe, I'm just thinking of the reverse mentorship. I think I first heard it from, Earl Krebs, but just the idea of the reverse mentoring. And I know it's been around, but how we need to be mentoring, but then even as, leaders in ministry, we have to be mentored. We have to be seeking somebody that can pour into our lives that way. And it takes vulnerability, it takes submission, all those things that we kind of talked about. And but it's so necessary for all of us.
It's just a relationship. That's why I kind of went, I was like, it's just us being in a relationship with each other. That's all it is.
When Darin said, we didn't start recording, we didn't hit the record button yet, but Darin said it, man, we complicate everything.
Yeah.
In the West specifically. We just complicate everything. It's not that complicated.
Do life together.
Yeah. That's good. That's so cool. That's good. So hey, thanks, man. Thanks for that answer.
Yeah.
Too. I mean, I literally, because while you were talking, it just made me wonder that question. So appreciate it.
It's cool.
Yeah.
You rock, bro.